Time has never been linear. The universe is not as solid as it appears. Somewhere between the flicker of a distant star and the infinite expanse of quantum possibility, you exist, not as a mere observer, but as a participant in a reality far stranger than anything most people dare to imagine. This is not a story of coincidence. It is a revelation, a whisper of truth hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who are ready to see. For centuries, humans have assumed that the world unfolds independently of their consciousness, that the clockwork of reality is predetermined and immutable. But modern physics has taught us otherwise. From the peculiarities of quantum entanglement to the observer effect, from the hidden structures of the multiverse to the emergent properties of consciousness itself, there is evidence that reality responds in subtle and profound ways to the choices, intentions, and awareness of those who dwell within it. You are not outside of this process. You are central to it. What you are about to witness is not science fiction. It is not speculation disguised as entertainment. It is the convergence of knowledge, history, and the subtle mechanisms of existence. The patterns of your life, the coincidences you have dismissed, the inexplicable insights that arrive at the edges of your mind, they are threads woven into the greater tapestry of the universe. And now it is time for you to understand the weave, the forces shaping it, and your role within it. Because chosen one, the time to know is not tomorrow, not later, but now. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the like button to support this exploration of hidden truths. Leave a comment below and tell us which part of the country you're watching from. Your input helps us connect across the unseen threads of this vast universe. From the very first moments of human curiosity, we have sought to understand the invisible scaffolding that holds existence together. Early civilizations mapped the stars and constructed their myths around them, not merely as stories, but as frameworks for understanding a cosmos that seemed alive, responsive, and filled with hidden order. To the ancient Babylonians, the heavens were a living record, a cosmic library to the Greeks. The movement of planets and celestial spheres reflected deep principles of harmony, proportion, and inevitability. Across millennia, these early observers were intuitively approaching a truth that modern science is only beginning to formalize, that reality is less a fixed stage upon which life unfolds and more a dynamic, responsive system in which the observer is not peripheral, but central. This concept, now grounded in the most rigorous branches of physics, emerges in startling ways when we examine the quantum domain. In classical mechanics, we are accustomed to a world of predictability. Billiard balls collide according to well-defined laws, planets orbit their stars in unbroken precision, and cause and effect relationships appear unambiguous. But the quantum world, the realm of electrons, photons, and subatomic particles, defies such intuitions. At this scale, particles exist not as discrete, static points, but as clouds of probability. Their very state is undefined until measured. Until the act of observation occurs, the universe does not commit to a single outcome. It exists instead as a field of possibilities. This phenomenon, known as the observer effect, has profound philosophical implications. If reality at its most fundamental level is contingent upon observation, then consciousness itself is not merely a bystander. It is a participant in the manifestation of outcomes. Experiments like the double-slit experiment have repeatedly demonstrated that whether a photon behaves as a particle or a wave depends entirely on whether it is observed. The implication is staggering. The act of paying attention, of focusing awareness, may influence the unfolding of reality itself. The cosmos is not a mechanical machine running independently of you. It is, in some sense, interactive. Some interpretations of these phenomena extend even further, into the realms of probability and potentiality that modern physics struggles to describe. The many worlds hypothesis, proposed by Hugh Everett in the 1950s, suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event is realized, but each in a separate, branching universe. In this framework, reality is an infinite tree of parallel existences, each reflecting different paths, choices, and consequences. Your life, in this perspective, is not a singular trajectory but a nexus of probabilities, constantly influenced by intention, attention, and action. Every thought, every choice resonates across a multiverse of possibilities, guiding the shape of existence in subtle ways. Yet, the connection between consciousness and reality is not confined to quantum mechanics alone. In neuroscience, studies of brain function reveal that our perception of the world is actively constructed, filtered, and interpreted What we call objective reality is already processed through a lens of expectation memory and neural architecture. The mind does not merely observe, it participates, integrating sensory data with internal models, filling gaps and anticipating outcomes. Reality is therefore co-created, a dialogue between external stimuli and internal interpretation. In this sense, the universe and the observer are not separate, they are intertwined. History offers countless examples of this interplay between human intention and the perception of reality. Visionaries, inventors, and scientists have often described their breakthroughs as arising not from linear reasoning alone, but from moments of insight, intuition, and resonance with some deeper truth. Nikola Tesla, for instance, spoke of ideas arriving fully formed in his consciousness as if delivered by an external intelligence. Similarly, Albert Einstein described thought experiments where he immersed himself in imaginative exploration of the universe's fabric. These examples are not anecdotal curiosities. They hint at a deeper principle, that awareness can access dimensions of reality that are ordinarily hidden from the untrained mind. Across civilizations, mystics and philosophers arrived at remarkably similar conclusions. From the Taoist understanding of the universe as a flowing, responsive system to the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, there is a recurring theme: reality is participatory, and those who are attuned to its patterns can influence its course. Modern science, in this way, has not invalidated these ancient insights, but has begun to provide a rigorous framework to understand them. Physics, neuroscience, and systems theory converge on a single idea: consciousness is not merely contained within the brain. It is an active interface with the fabric of reality. The implications extend into what might be called the architecture of destiny. If reality is participatory, if outcomes are influenced by observation, attention, and intention, then the life we experience is not entirely predetermined. It is instead shaped by choices both conscious and unconscious. This perspective reframes the concept of the chosen one, not as a mystical figure predestined for greatness, but as any individual who becomes aware of their participation in the unfolding universe. The potential for influence, for directed creation, exists in every mind capable of sustained focus and deliberate action. Manifestation, often dismissed in popular culture as wishful thinking, gains a new significance under this lens. When intentions are aligned with understanding, when observation, awareness, and action converge, they resonate with the underlying structures of probability and causality. The universe, in response, reflects these alignments, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. This is not magic, it is the logical extension of the observer effect and the participatory nature of reality. The patterns of coincidence, the moments of synchronicity that punctuate our lives, are signals of this alignment, guiding those who are ready to perceive them. Science also provides tools for understanding the thresholds of influence. Studies of chaotic systems, for example, show that small perturbations can propagate across complex networks, producing outcomes far beyond the scale of the original cause. The proverbial butterfly effect is not metaphorical, it is a real principle of dynamic systems. Similarly, in human systems, small shifts in intention, focus, and action can cascade across personal, social, and environmental networks, producing consequences that are disproportionate to their apparent origin. Consciousness, when understood as an active participant, has leverage within these systems, a capacity to amplify and shape outcomes. Yet awareness alone is not sufficient. Alignment requires understanding, discipline, and a nuanced comprehension of the forces at play. The universe operates according to principles that are both predictable and mysterious. Cause and effect coexist with probability. Determinism coexists with chance. Order coexists with chaos. Mastery, in this context, does not mean domination but attunement, recognition of patterns, synchronization with natural rhythms, and the cultivation of an observer who can navigate probability with intelligence and discernment. The chosen one, in this sense, is anyone who awakens to this responsibility and undertakes the practice of mindful participation in the universe. This awakening is not abstract, it is grounded in concrete phenomena. The interplay between consciousness and matter, the resonance of intention with probability, the ripple effects of focused attention. These are measurable, observable principles. Experiments in parapsychology, though controversial, repeatedly demonstrate that human intention can influence physical systems in ways that defy conventional expectations. Similarly, meditation and mindfulness practices, studied extensively in neuroscience, reveal that sustained attention can restructure neural networks, enhance perception, and modulate physiological processes. The mind shapes not only experience, but indirectly the reality that is observed. History, physics, and neuroscience converge on the same essential message: the universe is not inert, it is responsive. Hidden within its structure are feedback loops that connect observer to observed, consciousness to probability, intention to manifestation. The patterns are subtle, often obscured by the noise of daily life, but they exist, waiting for those who are prepared to perceive and act upon them. This chapter of your journey is about recognition, about seeing that reality is not something that happens to you, but something in which you are actively engaged. The distinction is profound. It transforms existence from passive observation into an interactive, participatory endeavor. From this perspective, the challenges and opportunities of life are no longer random. They are expressions of underlying structures, reflections of alignment or misalignment with the fabric of reality. The moments of insight, the uncanny coincidences, the sudden bursts of clarity, these are not anomalies. They are signals, markers of resonance between consciousness and the deeper architecture of the cosmos. To navigate them, one must cultivate awareness, own perception, and embrace the role of participant rather than spectator. Understanding this architecture also requires humility. The universe is vast, probabilistic, and often indifferent. Participation does not guarantee outcomes, and awareness does not equate to control. Rather, it offers leverage, a capacity to influence, and the possibility of alignment with forces far greater than the self. The task of the chosen one is not mastery over the cosmos, but attunement to it, an awakening to the intricate, hidden patterns that shape existence, and the recognition that every action, thought, and choice reverberates across these patterns in ways that may be subtle, yet profound. In the chapters that follow, we will explore these patterns in detail, examining the principles of quantum observation, the subtleties of probability, the mysteries of consciousness, and the history of human insight that points to a participatory universe. We will trace the threads of knowledge from the ancients to modern physicists, from the intuitive awareness of visionaries to the rigorous observations of science. Each step will illuminate a piece of the greater puzzle, gradually revealing the forces that shape your life, your reality, and your destiny. The journey begins here with recognition, with understanding, with the awakening to the reality that you are not merely present in this universe, you are an integral, active part of it. And as we proceed, you will see that the universe is not waiting for permission to reveal its secrets. It is waiting for you to recognize your role in their unfolding. At the heart of the universe lies a paradox: the smallest building blocks of reality behave in ways that defy classical logic. A photon does not exist in a single place until it is observed. An electron can spin in two directions at once, existing as a superposition of possibilities, until the act of measurement collapses it into a defined state. This is not metaphor. It is a measurable, repeatable phenomenon, one that challenges the very assumptions we make about existence. The observer effect is not simply a quirk of laboratory conditions. It is a window into the intimate relationship between consciousness and reality. When scientists design experiments to detect the path of particles, the universe responds. It alters the behavior of matter itself, not because of mechanical interference, but because the potentiality of outcomes is influenced by the act of observation. This phenomenon has been demonstrated in countless experiments, most famously in the double-slit experiment, where photons fired at a barrier with two slits behave as both particles and waves, depending entirely on whether a measurement device is watching. The universe, in essence, waits for awareness to choose a path. This principle, while startling in the context of physics, has profound implications for human existence. If observation shapes reality at the quantum level, then consciousness is not merely a passive reflection of the external world. It is a force that can influence outcomes. The mind, it seems, is entangled with the fabric of existence, participating in its evolution and manifestation. The ancient maxim, as above, so below, takes on new meaning in this light. The observer in the microcosm reflects, interacts with, and potentially shapes the macrocosm. Modern science has begun to explore the mechanisms of this entanglement between mind and matter. Neuroscience reveals that perception is not a simple recording of sensory input. It is an active construction. The brain filters, interprets, and predicts, creating a coherent narrative from fragments of data. When combined with the probabilistic nature of quantum phenomena, this suggests that reality is not an independent, static backdrop. It is co-created through interaction, attention, and consciousness. The brain does not merely see the world, it participates in the unfolding of the universe itself. Some physicists have proposed that consciousness may be a fundamental component of reality, as essential as space, time, and energy. The Penrose-Hameroff orchestrated objective reduction theory suggests that quantum processes within microtubules in neurons could link human consciousness to fundamental quantum events, bridging the gap between mind and the cosmos. While this theory remains controversial, it underscores a growing recognition the mind and the universe may be inseparable, bound by principles we are only beginning to understand. This perspective reframes what it means to be human. We are not merely passive participants in a predetermined script, we are actors, observers, and co-creators. Every thought, every decision, every focused intention interacts with the probabilistic waves of possibility that permeate existence. The choices you make ripple outward, influencing not only the trajectory of your own life, but potentially the unfolding of events across networks of interconnected systems. This is the principle behind what is often referred to as manifestation, the conscious alignment of thought, intention, and action with the underlying structure of reality to bring potential into form. Manifestation is not magic, and it is not superstition. It is a natural extension of the observer effect into the macroscopic world of human experience. When a thought is deeply held, focused, and acted upon, it generates patterns of behavior, perception, and neural activity that can influence outcomes in ways that are measurable, albeit often subtle. Neuroscience has shown that intention can prime neural networks, enhancing problem-solving, creativity, and perceptual acuity. Behavioral studies reveal that expectation and belief shape outcomes in social, economic, and environmental systems. The mind, when properly attuned, has leverage. History provides countless examples of individuals who appeared to harness this principle. Visionaries, inventors, and explorers often describe their insights as sudden, inexplicable revelations, moments in which they seemed to perceive possibilities before they materialized. Nikola Tesla spoke of ideas arriving fully formed in his mind, complete with specifications and mechanisms. Johannes Kepler described a period of intense insight in which he saw the precise patterns of planetary motion before he had completed the necessary calculations. These are not coincidences. They are glimpses of what occurs when consciousness aligns with underlying patterns of probability and structure in the universe. At a more personal level, the phenomenon of synchronicity, the meaningful coincidence of events, illustrates the subtle ways that consciousness interacts with reality. Carl Jung, who coined the term, described instances in which an inner psychological state corresponded to an external event with uncanny precision. These moments suggest that the mind is attuned to patterns that extend beyond the immediate sensory environment, capable of perceiving and influencing structures that operate at scales both microcosmic and macrocosmic. Synchronicity is in this sense a signal, a confirmation that awareness is active, participatory, and entangled with reality. Quantum entanglement further deepens this picture. When two particles become entangled, their properties remain connected, no matter how far apart they are in space. A measurement performed on one instantly influences the state of the other, a phenomenon Albert Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. This principle challenges classical notions of separateness and locality, suggesting that at a fundamental level, the universe is a web of interconnected possibilities. Consciousness may be part of this web, capable of perceiving, influencing, and resonating with structures that exist beyond immediate observation. This interconnectedness is not purely theoretical. Systems theory demonstrates that small inputs in one area of a complex system can have cascading effects across the whole. Chaotic systems, governed by sensitive dependence on initial conditions, reveal that minor actions can produce disproportionate outcomes. Applied to human consciousness, this principle implies that deliberate focus and aligned intention, however subtle, can influence patterns far beyond the individual. Awareness acts as a lever within the architecture of reality, amplifying the effects of alignment and action. Understanding these principles requires more than intellectual grasp. It demands practice, discipline, and cultivation of perception. Meditation, mindfulness, and contemplative practices provide a way to refine awareness, to observe the mind without attachment, and to perceive subtle patterns in thought, emotion, and external events. Such practices enhance the capacity for intention to influence outcomes by stabilizing attention, reducing cognitive noise, and attuning the observer to the probabilistic structures that shape reality. In this way, ancient wisdom converges with modern science, revealing that consciousness is both a tool and a bridge, a means of navigating the quantum and probabilistic realms of existence. The consequences of ignoring this reality are subtle but profound. Life, when approached as a passive sequence of events, can feel disjointed, random, and unfulfilling. Moments of potential are missed, insights remain dormant, and opportunities slip away unnoticed. The chosen one is not chosen because of innate superiority, but because of awareness, the capacity to recognize patterns, align intention with action, and participate fully in the unfolding of reality. Awareness is the key to leverage, the gateway to influence, and the foundation of conscious creation. In practical terms, the principles of quantum consciousness and the observer effect suggest strategies for engaging with life in a purposeful way. First, clarity of intention is critical. The universe, or at least the probabilistic structures that govern outcomes, responds to specificity. Vague thoughts scatter influence, focused attention concentrates it. Second, sustained observation enhances effect. Just as particles only collapse into defined states when measured, so too do potentials in life crystallize when attended to consistently. Third, action is essential. Awareness without action is observation alone. It must be paired with engagement to influence outcomes effectively. Scientific studies provide corroboration. Research in psychophysiology demonstrates that focused mental effort can influence systems traditionally considered independent, such as random number generators. Experiments in intention-based interventions reveal statistically significant effects on biological and environmental systems. While these findings remain at the frontier of science, they suggest that consciousness, properly applied, exerts a measurable influence on the material world. The implications are both practical and existential. Human awareness is not passive but active, a mechanism through which reality can be navigated, aligned, and shaped. This chapter also illuminates the subtle ways that reality communicates with the observer. Intuition, hunches, and sudden insights are not random neural artifacts. They are feedback from the universe, a reflection of resonance between conscious attention and the patterns of probability that surround us. Recognizing and acting on these signals is a central skill of the chosen one. It requires quiet observation, discernment, and the courage to follow guidance that often defies conventional logic. When these signals are heeded, the alignment between intention and outcome strengthens, producing synchronistic events that appear almost miraculous, but which are entirely consistent with the principles of probabilistic resonance and participatory observation. The invitation is clear: awaken, observe, align, participate. You are not a passive witness. You are central to the unfolding of the cosmos, and the moment to act, to focus, and to recognize your influence is now. The universe waits for no one, but it does respond to those who are truly aware. The hidden threads have been revealed. The structures of possibility have been illuminated. And now, chosen one, it is your choice to step into alignment, to wield the power of awareness, and to engage consciously with the infinite web of reality. The universe is speaking. It has always been speaking. The question is no longer whether it exists. It is whether you will answer, consciously, deliberately, and fully.